Good morning, dear students. Today we are going to focus on the topic vocabulary, British and American English. So, did you ever thought about why are there differences between British and American English? Okay, maybe we'll get to know today whether why is there a difference between British and American English. So here the language is almost same, but they might be divided by two nations, and there are some more differences what we need to know or understand. They are, one thing is the differentiation in the spelling, what they use, and the way they pronounce differs. Again, the vocabulary that they use also differs, and the grammar rules also are slightly different from British English, and whereas the American English, it is slightly simpler. So we have some differences which are mentioned here in the fourth line. These are the British spellings for COLOUR, whereas it is COLOR when it comes to American English. So U is used here. And when it comes to the spelling check, CHECK is American English and CHEQUE is the example for the spelling for the British English. Well, but still, we see that, there are some words which have been used by the British English is not used by the Americans. For instance, maybe when we can look at this sixth line, Britishers call sofa, whereas Americans call couch. Pavement is sidewalk in American English. Toilet is restroom in American English. Okay, so just like this, we have a lot of differences between the usage of words, by the American English when compared to the British English. Well, when we look at the word boot in British English, which means the trunk of the car, whereas the trunk or the bonnet part of the car is called as boot, whereas the word boot means footwear for American English people. Coach is the word used for a bus, whereas in American English it means a person who manages a sports team or who gives coaching to the people. Okay, first floor in British English is the floor above the ground floor, whereas for American English the ground floor is the first floor. So when we look at some of the words here, these are some examples what we can see. Autumn is fall for American English. Biscuit, cookie, cash point, ATM. Chemist is drugstore. Crossroads is intersection. Curtains are drapes. Dustbin is trash can. Flat is apartment. Flyover is overpass. Football is a soccer. Full stop is period. Handbag is a purse. Holidays, vacation. Lift, elevator. Lorry, truck. Luggage, baggage. Mobile phone, cell phone. Petrol, gasoline. Photo, picture. Post, mail. Queue, line. Staff, faculty. Tap, faucet, taxi, cab, term, semester, timetable, schedule, toilet, restroom, torchlight, flashlight, trousers, pants, wardrobe, closet. So these are some of the words what you have seen in the text which are a part of the British and American English vocabulary. Well, there are some more worksheets which are available online and which I have shared with you on Moodle. Maybe you can go through those to understand whether what are the words which are there beyond this. So there is another video on which maybe you can have a wider sense of vocabulary which are related to British and American English. So did you ever think about why is there any difference between British and American English or Britishers and Americans? Have you ever thought whether they were from two different countries or were they from the same country or anything like that? The basic idea is here is British English was the oldest language rather than the American. American is a new one or novel one which is coming up. And whereas when it comes to British English, we have, words emerging or English language emerging from British or maybe from England only. So when we look at the elite class or the aristocratic class of in the England, people happen to start the usage of German words or Latin words or French words along with their usual English vocabulary in their day-to-day conversations. So there was a huge difference between the way the aristocrats or the elite class happened to communicate rather than the peasants or the farmers or the lower middle class people were communicating. And so the people who were from the peasants or maybe from the lower middle class happen to be feel they have been let down or put down, and there were several differences shown, and that is the reason the people who belong to British or maybe to the England, who were the peasants and who were from the working class society, they happened to leave the British country and then they moved from there and they happened to move to an island which they called America. So there they got settled and then they wanted to be different from the British or the people of England, and that is the reason they try to be totally different or they try to outstand amongst the crowd or look different or speak different. Okay, that is the main reason for which we can see that there is a difference in the spelling also. They actually didn't complicate it, but they made it a bit simpler than the British English when I talk about the spelling. Okay, the spelling is slightly easier, whereas when compared to the British English, okay, the pronunciation differs, vocabulary differs because they try to make it more westernized, and then make it more classy or polished by calling a sofa as a couch, okay, pavement as a sidewalk, okay. So they even have a change in their grammar rules, okay. They had a continuous verge of being different, or maybe they wanted to be different from the rest of the world. That was their main motive, because of because they were let down by the Britishers, their fellow countrymen, but still, that is the main reason they wanted to be different. And because of that urge in them, they happen to create new words and new, or maybe different spelling, pronunciation, and vocabulary and grammar. Still, it is English, whether it is British or American. Okay, so this is what you're supposed to remember, and this was the brief history of how Americans, you know, how people of England happen to get settled in America. Okay, so I hope the session was clear and brief enough to for you to understand the history of how American English happened to start. Hope to see you in the next session, students. Thank you, everyone.